Right now, I want to call in. Actually, I'm going to call. There's a lot of you guys follow Barstool or know about them. One of their writers, who I performed with in Boston, Francis Ellis, just got let go by them, and I want to give him a call right now to find out a little bit more about what happened because it's really interesting to me.
Theo,
Big Francis,
my man, how are you?
I'm doing good, man. You sound unemployed.
I do.
No, you don't, man. You sound good. I'm just
I
joking.
I feel good. I feel good. I don't know. I don't feel unemployed, but I am.
Well, you just kind of, I guess, do you feel set free? Like, what kind of happened with the situation? It seemed, what happened with the situation?
Sure. On Friday, I wrote a blog about a girl who had been missing for a week.
Hmm.
The headline that I saw was that her sorority sisters had seen her Instagram was active, so there was reason to hope. And then I read a headline that said that authorities did not suspect foul play. I thought that meant she was kind of okay. In my mind, that meant good news.
Yeah, yeah,
And I didn't even really think about what was actually happening. And if you read the blog I wrote, I wasn't making fun of her. I was kind of just lazily saying, here's the story. She's also a fan of a podcast we have at Barstool. Hopefully, though, when she turns up okay, those girls can send her some merchandise.
yeah, yeah. I checked
And
it out.
yeah, and I think that the tone and the timing were what really made it so bad and so careless and just a major oversight on my part and very thoughtless, and it came off kind of heartless, and they had to let me go, and I totally understand their decision. So
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I've been following that case pretty close. I mean, as much as I could, just in the news, checking up a couple times a day and seeing what was going on. Um, yeah, I guess, like you said, the timing and the tone. But don't you think, like, do you feel that, like, an apology? I mean, it's like, obviously, if I listen to you right now talking about it, it's very obvious, like, what happened. Like, you misjudged what was going on. You were taking things from the news stories, and yeah, you weren't mean, you weren't malicious, and you just kind
right.
of made, I guess, kind of an accident.
I did. I think, it's very important to note that what my intention was, which was not to somehow disgrace the memory of a girl who had lost her life.
Yeah,
Um,
of course
it
not.
was it was to sort of, I guess, highlight a major news story that I thought was developing in a different way. And my big fault was that I should have read more about it and realized that regardless of what the outcome was, this was still a situation I should not have touched upon.
Hmm.
And of course, a couple hours after I wrote it, they announced that they had found a suspect, and then it started really looking horrible from there.
Yeah.
And that's when I took the blog down, and I realized how just awful my mistake had been. So yeah.
Do you think that most people are like understanding and can forgive you? Like, I mean, most people, yeah, like even when I read it, I was like, oh man, Francis just didn't kind of realize what was going on. This was a mistake, but it's things happen and that's that.
Yeah, I think I was actually kind of made to, I was encouraged by the response to my mistake,
Hmm.
because I thought we live in this world where there's a lot of outrage, and people equate a lot of mistakes and behavior under one, like, lump problem.
Right.
But the overwhelming response showed that people are able to differentiate between people's mistakes, and they didn't put me under the same category as, a Harvey Weinstein or
Yeah.
name your problem. And
Alyssa Milano.
sure, I don't know if I don't know what she did. I didn't even know
I
she
don't know.
made a
She just,
mistake.
yeah, well, she just won't shut up all the time. But no, I feel you though. Like, but yeah, it seems to me like most people can differentiate, and it's like, so why does it seem? Were you shocked that like your employers have to go with a couple of blogs that that nobody maybe even reads writing something?
Uh, I think Barstool understands that by being a writer there, I have a privilege and an obligation to be more careful.
Hmm.
There are so many eyeballs. It's such a big platform and such a gift to be able to write there that you have to be careful and you have to be better than I was. Um,
Mm.
I hate to say it, but like that blog I wrote was not even, I wasn't even, it was a lazy blog in every sense of the word. Like
Ah, I see what you're saying.
it wasn't like something that I would have hung my hat on or been like, this is good work. It was just something I wrote to like show that I had come to work that day.
I see.
And that's just unacceptable, especially with that subject matter.
Hmm.
So I totally understand Dave Portnoy's decision to say, that I had abused the platform they gave me. I made the company look bad, and I'm
Hmm.
paying for it, by losing my job. So I get it, and it's fair to me.
Hmm. Wow, man, it's a lot of ownership by you, man. I think it's really remarkable. Even just hearing you say that, like, to recognize your own part in things, no matter what the outcome, even if inside of yourself somewhere you felt the outcome was just or wasn't just, like, just to recognize your own part in it. And I mean, it probably gives you a little bit more of a place of power than or comfort than a place of just sitting there like with your head between your hands.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you're like one of the most talented guys, man. I mean, I think you're so talented, so charismatic. And I think Dave even said that. I watched his Instagram video. Do you think that if Barstool wasn't owned by like a larger company, that this still would have been the case, or do you think that, do you think that plays like a bigger role? Just not just into like overall like decisions that have to be made, like, oh, we're part of a bigger group now, so this is there are other voices that influence.
Right. It's a good question and one that a lot of people have asked me. And honestly, personally, it's a lot healthier for me to just not question it very much
Mm.
and to just know that I screwed up and that it's on me and that I could play the what if game in so many different ways. Like,
Right.
what if she had turned up alive and was fine? Like, would I be in trouble into the same degree?
Right.
And what if, if Barstool hadn't been the controversial company that it is,
Right.
would I have been dealt with the same way? I can ask so many questions, but the bottom line is I did something really stupid, and in a professional setting, when you work somewhere, there has to be consequences.
Mm.
And if this is the punishment that they decided fit the crime, I stand by that. I stand with them, and I'm only grateful for what they provided me for all those years, and I can live with it.
Yeah. Wow, man, you're a champ, man. No, it's just it's such a it's such a onward, like, moving forward positive way to interpret it all, no matter what. It's like just accepting, finding your role in it. Look, I kind of was, I could have been, I have a platform. I was just trying to do something at work that day. I didn't do as much of the background stuff as I could have, just knowing that you didn't really rise to the occasion as much as you probably should have. And so therefore, even though it got out of control after that there were some consequences.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, look, we're comedians. If anyone out there actually thinks that I was writing a piece in an effort to disgrace or mock a
No one
girl
does.
who had lost her life, like, that person's that's crazy.
Yeah.
Of course not. I don't know anyone that evil.
No.
And I think when you have that many eyeballs, as I said, you have to be a little bit more careful and a little bit more professional.
Yeah.
And I just dropped the ball, and that's what it was.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough too, because also you're in an environment where, like, Barstool, there's this whole vibe there where it's not kind of professional and it's not organized, but at the same time, it is very much so. It's like,
Exactly.
yeah, so it's, that's just such a tough space almost to really live in a little bit, to embody the brand, but at the same time, to recognize, a responsibility in a place that almost thrives on pushing kind of irresponsibility in some ways.
Yeah, I think exactly. And I think, I had a lot. The one thing that was so amazing about working at Barstool is that they give you so much liberty to create your own work, to come up with your own ideas, to act on your own comedic impulses. And, you don't always get it right. Like sometimes you're not funny. Sometimes you're just stupid, and sometimes you're really offensive. And unfortunately, I think all three were the case working against me with this one.
That dirty trifecta, bro.
Yeah, exactly. The old bowling turkey. Or,
Oh, yeah.
Trying to speak Theo Von language, and I can't.
Oh, yeah.
But, it was one of those things where I had earned their respect and trust in that I would put out my own work and it would not be problematic, because I had been writing for there long enough that they said, okay, you're independent, you're on your own. We don't need to hold your hand anymore.
Yeah. Cruise control kind of.
Yeah, exactly. And then, you just one morning you kind of come in and you don't have it on. You know what I mean? I don't know how else to put it. Looking back, I don't even understand what I was thinking. It was just ridiculous.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess in hindsight, it seems just almost like a bizarre thing to even kind of get into, but.
Correct.
But I think that, the websites and stuff, like, I mean, here in Los Angeles, you hear all, so many women, like, screaming about feminism and, and just a lot of violent feminists out here as well. But then you see these literally on every other billboard, you'll see a sugar baby or a sugar daddy website, which is, I don't think those websites, a lot of men that I know they're on those are sick men or troubled men who are just using women for sex and not even giving them any money or any. It just seems like a scary place.
Yeah, and I guess that element of the story, unfortunately, was something that I did include, but I was reading off of all the websites, and every story was talking about her involvement on those sugar daddy things, and it was like ABC News. Like I didn't bring that to light. And there was one news source that said that one article that said that I was slut shaming this girl.
Oh God.
And that is such a ridiculous.
That's ridiculous, dude.
I mean, if you look at the blog, in no way did I ever say like, oh,
no,
she's a lesser person for having been on these websites. I think I just included it because maybe they thought that was one of the things might have been why she was missing.
100%. Look, and it's a scary place. It's a scary place for interaction, especially when you're, when the product a lot of the times is such an intimate product. It's like, if you're going to meet somebody to buy shoes, you could do that out in the front yard. But if you're meeting somebody to engage in, romantic engagements, whether it's a massage or just sitting there watching television together or even sexual endeavors, it's going to be behind closed doors. So it's very, very spooky. And sometimes I worry that a lot of a lot of young women, they say, they hear all this body empowerment, you control your own sex and this and that, and which is true, no doubt. But the fact that some of these young ladies could be misinterpreting that and thinking, okay, well, I don't need to be giving my body away for free, for free or anything. And then they may be misconstruing it and ending up on a lot of these sites. I think we just don't know some of the byproduct of, of some of these big movements sometimes.
Yeah, it's tough. I don't know much about the world of the seeking arrangement, I think was the website.
Yeah.
That whole thing always seemed, I don't know. It's like, you hope it's a mutually, I guess, safe agreement.
Yeah, it's risky.
How can you control for that? Exactly.
Yeah, that's risky, man. It's just, and look, yeah, it's very sad. I mean, obviously, no one thinks that it's entertaining or funny. What happened to this young lady, and it's very sad. But yeah, it's like, I mean, you just wonder, like, if like, some higher presence is using her to help, a lot of, maybe tens of thousands of other girls,
Right.
Stay safe,
Very true. Very well said. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you're one of the funniest and most talented guys that I know, man. Everybody I met at Barstool, I mean, Portnoy knows how to hire. That is for damn sure.
Thanks, brother. Yeah, it's good to talk to you, man. Love what you're doing. You're one of the most unique people I've ever met, and looking forward to seeing you again soon, my man.
Yeah, same here, man. I'll be in touch soon, man. You got to come and do some weekend with me or something.
Hell yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Theo. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks, Francis. Have a good one, man.
You talk. Bye.
All right, peace, bro. And that's him right there, Francis from Barstool. Really, I mean, an eloquent, smart guy. And man, he's probably about 6'5", but I think about 40% of it is heart. The guy's got a big heart. And, just to be right there, learn from his mistake, or, learn from even what other people say is your mistake. Fine, I'm going to learn from it no matter what. Instead of fighting the tide, instead of being just a salmon that don't really have a plan, but he keeps swimming against the current. He just said, I'm going to ride it. I'm going to sit here and stay in the current and just think.